Hey all you meddling kids, it's your girl Pammy Chanel back with another video. Now I'm supposed to be working on my video about Menudo, the band that made Ricky Martin famous. But instead, I'm going to talk to you tonight about Natalia Grace because they just dropped season 2 of the, documentary that they have going on with her on Max. Now, the frustrating part with me about Max, and I think it's starting to come with every streaming service now, is that instead of just dropping everything, now they're dropping it 1 or 2 episodes at a time, which is aggravating. But that's a whole nother rant. But let's talk about this Natalia Grace situation because I really didn't want to talk about it before because I was like, eh. But now that I have listened to some of the things that have happened allegedly to this child and just gotten a better understanding of the situation, I think that there are some big red flags with those parents. So I'm not going to go into the whole documentary and give you a breakdown. I'm really just going to give you my opinion on this whole thing. My first point is that people have to do better at vetting these couples or individuals who want to adopt children to make sure they're adopting these kids for the right reasons. Because if you're going into adoption and you're thinking that it's going to be la-di-da and the kids are going to love you automatically and it's going to be a beautiful thing and you're going to have this instant family, it is not like that. These children have probably been through some form of trauma. And it doesn't matter whether they were in a foster care here in America or whether they were in an orphanage down in the Ukraine. These kids come with some type of background, and they may have some type of trauma coming into this. And if you adopt them at an older age, about 5 and 6, where they can really remember what's going on with them, it's going to be tough. But once you take on that role as a parent, you're no longer just your single self or your no kid having self. You're a parent. And you can't just give your child away like that. I'll never understand it. So we have to do a better job at vetting, especially for parents who are getting their children from other countries. This reminded me, this whole Natalia Grace case, when I first heard about it, it reminded me of a case that happened back in 1999. There was this couple, and I'm hoping I can remember their names. Oh my God, what are their names? I cannot remember their names. Anyway, there was this couple, because I remember the child's name, and they adopted this little girl, and they named her Carly. She was from Russia. Her adopted family also adopted at the same time a little boy. Now, Carly was about 8 or 9 years old, and the little boy, I think they named him Joshua, he was about maybe 2 or 3. And so they really, really bonded with Joshua, but they did not bond with her. And apparently she started to act out. Well, of course she's going to act out. Number one, she's 8, 9 years old. Russian is her first language, not English. So she's probably having some issues with that. And second, if I see you and you're only doting on this little boy, of course I'm going to have um, some type of ill will or feelings. So the parents accused her of trying to drop the boy off a deck. They accused her of having multiple personalities and even had her recording herself saying that she heard voices that made her want to do bad things. And to make a long story short, they ended up sending her to psychiatrists, putting her into a psych ward. And then after all of that, they ended up sending her back to Russia. Now, unlike Natalia, Carly has a good, happy ending. She was adopted by another family in America, right here in my state, North Carolina. Take your shirt off, twist it around your head. And she actually still lives here in North Carolina. And she has another name, and I'm not going to say what her name is. But she had no problems with her new parents. None. And so, you know, that's why I kind of look at Natalia's adopted parents with the side eye, because what was your true intention of adopting this child? Also, when you are adopting a child with special needs, that is a lifelong commitment. That is not 18 years old. That is a lifelong commitment. My uncle has been living with my aunt since my grandparents died. And the reason why is because of the fact that he is disabled. If he happens to outlive her, one of us will have to take him because he is not capable of living on his own. Natalia has a very rare form of dwarfism. If you look at her feet, they are not, it has to be painful for her to try to walk. But imagine you're living in a home that is not made for you. There's the shelving was not to her level. There were no real accommodations in that apartment for her as being disabled, and not to mention, and I highly suspect she was a child. So the adoption agencies have to do a little bit better when it comes down to who is going to adopt these kids. And I also think that when we're doing cross continental adoption agent situations, we need to have social services even more involved than if it was just an adoption here in America. That's something I never really heard about in the documentaries of either one of them, how much social services were involved. Were home visits going on during this time? Or was it just a child being stuck in this house with these people that she doesn't know and any old thing is happening? The second point I want to make is that I believe Natalia was a child. She may not have been the exact age that they thought she was when she was, first brought over here, but I do think she was a child. And what solidified that for me was the two pictures that the first couple that wanted to adopt her showed. In one picture, she had baby teeth. In the second picture, you can see where she had lost a tooth and the teeth were coming, or tooth was coming back in. That's it doesn't get more simple than that. Adults can't grow back baby teeth. They can't. So for me, I think Natalia is a child. Now they've done this DNA test. I don't know how accurate it is. From the DNA test, according to the documentary, she is about 21, 22 years old, which will put her at around the right age of when she was younger, that they pretty much dropped the child off in an apartment and kept on going. And I just think it's a crazy thing to do. It's just a really crazy thing to do. Have someone declared an adult so that it's no longer a burden on your life. It's just it's amazing to me. I really want to see what's going to come up in the next two episodes. My third point, Natalia's new dad needs to shut the fuck up. I mean, granted, I see he's trying to take up for his child. I see that he's trying to make Michael have a little bit of respect for her, but by not cursing. But on that same token, you've taken this conversation and amplified it to where the man has walked out. And we've got to, think. I don't think Michael Barnett is wrapped too tight. I'm not sure if he's on the spectrum. I'm not sure if he is just, if he has something really mentally wrong with him. I'm not sure what he has going on, but there's something that's not clicking. And so I don't think I would go off on the handle on him for cursing. Some of us are just not fire, brimstone, and holier than thou to where we can't say a curse word. And so this, her adopted father, or whatever he is to her, her real father, whatever she likes to call him, he needs to sit back and shut up and let her do the interview, because it's like you wasted a whole episode because it just got so heated about cursing. Hello, it's 2024 now, guys. We can do this. And finally, my biggest point, or why I feel like we really need to look at the Barnetts side-eyed, like something is really there. There was something wrong in that household, and that is based upon Jacob, the brother who was the quote-unquote genius. And the reason why I'm saying quote-unquote is because I'm still kind of looking at that kind of shady as well, just because of some things that I have read about the situation. But I remember when this is maybe before Natalia was adopted, or a little bit after, where they had like a 60 Minutes episode that featured him. It featured all these little proteges and stuff, and he was featured in it. And he could quote you the whole pie from memory. He was very, very smart. He was in college courses and stuff. And his mother, according to the documentary, made a lot of money off of his name. They had a daycare center that brought in $100,000 a year, named after him. It's based on helping children with autism. She wrote a book called The Spark. People have read that book. I have read that book. So it's not like he didn't have a great trajectory going. He did. But I wonder what was going on in that household to lead this child to be pretty much sleeping in his father's basement. Now, granted, he is autistic, and I'm not sure on what end of the spectrum he would be on, because I haven't taught him. I don't know. I haven't looked at any of his records. I really don't know. But there's something there, because I know plenty, and every case is different, but I know plenty of students who are autistic and they're on that spectrum and they're as gifted as he is, and they're able to go off to college and they're able to be functioning members of society. When I look at him, it makes me wonder what happened to him. And I know he has social anxiety. I get it. But there's something more to this story. I think that the Barnetts are some sneaky people, and I can't really tell whether it's the husband or the wife. I'm leaning more towards the wife, but I don't know. Michael got some stuff with him. So, guys, those are my thoughts on the documentary so far. Like I said, I think that the Barnetts are really crappy for what they did, because regardless of whether or not she was a little girl, she was still a woman or a child with a disability, and we just don't drop people with disabilities off in apartment complexes and not actually give them support. And bringing groceries around once or twice a week is not support. So, guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Did you watch the docuseries so far? What do you think she's a child? Do you think she was a child? Excuse me. Or do you think the adoption agency was lying? What's your thoughts on this? Like I said, let me know in the comments. Please be nice to one another. And until next time, stay nosy and stay meddling. Bye, guys.